I'm writing this with shaking hands, 3 weeks after I destroyed the only good thing in my life. The guilt is eating me alive, but maybe if I tell this story, someone else won't make the same catastrophic mistake I did. I cheated on my husband of 8 years. Not a drunken kiss. Not an emotional affair. I planned it, executed it, and lied about it for months. And now I've lost everything. It started as a stupid fantasy. My college friend Sarah kept posting about her hot girl summer after her divorce, constantly messaging me about how I was wasting my 20s being married. "You're only 29, she'd say. "David's nice, but is nice enough? You could do so much better." I started believing her toxic bullshit. David worked long hours as an engineer, coming home tired, wanting quiet dinners and Netflix. Meanwhile, Sarah was showing me DMs from guys on dating apps, guys who looked like models, who wrote poetry and planned elaborate dates. David and I had been together since college. He wasn't flashy, but he was steady. Present. He remembered every anniversary, brought me coffee in bed, never raised his voice even when I was being unreasonable. We had a beautiful 4-year-old daughter, Emma, who worshipped him. He built us a life where I could work part-time and pursue my photography hobby. But Sarah's voice kept echoing, "Is this really all you want?" The affair partner was Jake, a photographer I met at a local art show. Everything David wasn't. Leather jacket, tattoos, the kind of dangerous smile that should have been a red flag. He complimented my work, said I had untapped potential. Made me feel artistic and sophisticated instead of suburban and boring. When he asked for my number for networking, I gave it to him. When he texted late at night, I responded. When he suggested coffee, I said yes. I told myself it was just friendship. Just inspiration. I was lying to myself and I knew it. The way my heart raced when his name appeared on my phone. The way I deleted our conversations. The way I started putting on makeup before grocery runs that were really meetups with him. David noticed I was distracted, asked if everything was okay. I looked him in the eye and said I was just stressed about work. The first time Jake kissed me in his car after one of our coffee meetings, I didn't pull away. I kissed him back and felt alive for the first time in years. Or that's what I told myself. Really, I felt like I was drowning, but the adrenaline was addictive. I drove home to David making dinner, Emma on his shoulders, both of them lighting up when they saw me. And I felt nothing but guilt and the sick thrill of my secret. For 3 months, I lived a double life. Jake would text me during Emma's ballet practice, and I'd step outside to call him. I started fights with David over nothing so I could storm out and meet Jake at his apartment. I missed Emma's school play because Jake had gotten us tickets to some gallery opening. I watched my daughter's face fall when I wasn't in the audience, and I chose to feel annoyed instead of ashamed. The lies multiplied like cancer. Girls' nights that were hotel rooms with Jake. Photography workshops that were weekend trips. My sister's birthday dinner that was actually Jake's friend's party. David never questioned me because why would he? In 8 years, I'd never given him a reason not to trust me. He was probably proud that his wife was finally pursuing her artistic dreams. Jake was everything David wasn't, which I thought was what I wanted. Unpredictable. Passionate. He'd show up at my work with flowers, then disappear for days without explanation. He talked about his ex-girlfriends constantly, how crazy they all were. He borrowed money and forgot to pay it back. He criticized my clothes, my hair, suggested I could do better if I tried harder. But when he looked at me like I was the only woman in the world, none of that mattered. I should have seen what he really was. A predator who specialized in married women looking for excitement. I found out later I wasn't his first or his last. But I was so high on feeling chosen, feeling special, that I ignored every red flag. When he started pressuring me to leave David, I actually considered it. I fantasized about introducing him to Emma, about us playing happy family. I was completely delusional. The end came on a Tuesday. David had taken Emma to school and forgotten his laptop. He came home to grab it and found me in our bed with Jake. Not caught in the act, but in the aftermath, both of us still naked, Jake smoking a cigarette like he owned the place. David stood in the doorway for what felt like hours but was probably seconds. His face went through every emotion, then went completely blank. He didn't scream. Didn't throw punches. Just looked at me like he was seeing a stranger and said, "Get dressed. Both of you need to leave." Jake, the coward, was dressed and out the door in 30 seconds without a word to me. I tried to speak, tried to explain, but David held up his hand. Don't. Just don't. I'll never forget the sound of the front door closing behind him. Or the way Emma looked at me when he picked her up from school that day and didn't bring her home. She kept asking where Daddy was, why we weren't at our house. I had no answers that wouldn't destroy her 4-year-old understanding of the world. That night, David's lawyer called me. He'd already filed for divorce and emergency custody. I was being served papers in the morning. 8 years of marriage ended with a legal document and the knowledge that the man who'd loved me completely now couldn't stand to be in the same room as me. The papers arrived at 7 a.m. sharp. Divorce. Full custody to David with supervised visitation for me. Adultery cited as grounds. I was being evicted from the home we'd bought together because his name was on the deed and he was keeping the mortgage. I had 30 days to pack my life into boxes and disappear from the only life I'd ever known. Jake stopped answering my calls the day David found us. Blocked my number, deleted me from social media, vanished like our 3-month affair had never happened. I drove to his apartment, desperate and pathetic, only to find he'd moved out. His neighbor mentioned he'd been bragging about conquering another housewife and was already onto his next target. I sat in my car outside his empty apartment and finally understood what I really was to him. A game. A conquest. A married woman stupid enough to throw away everything for someone who saw me as a trophy. My friends abandoned me one by one. Sarah, who'd encouraged this disaster, suddenly went quiet when I called crying, desperate for support. "I never told you to cheat," she said coldly. "I just said you deserved better. This is on you." She blocked me too. My mom let me move into my childhood bedroom but made it clear this was temporary and shameful. "How could you do this to that sweet man?" "To Emma?" she asked every day until I stopped coming out of my room. The custody hearing was brutal. David's lawyer painted me as an unfit mother who'd brought strange men into the family home, who'd chosen adultery over my daughter's well-being. They had my phone records, credit card statements, everything. The judge barely looked at me when she granted David primary custody with supervised visits every other Saturday for 4 hours. Emma would grow up seeing her mother as the woman who left, who chose some random man over her family. Work became impossible. I'd been foolish enough to bring Jake to the office Christmas party, introducing him as a friend. When the affair came out, everyone knew. Whispers followed me down every hallway. My boss, a family man, could barely look at me. I wasn't fired, but I might as well have been. Every project got reassigned, every meeting happened without me. I quit before they could push me out. The supervised visits with Emma are the worst part. She's confused, angry, keeps asking when she can come home with me. I have to explain that mommy lives with grandma now, that daddy lives in our old house without me. She's 4. She doesn't understand why mommy made daddy sad, why everything changed so suddenly. Last week she asked if it was her fault. I sobbed in the courthouse bathroom for an hour after that visit. David won't speak to me directly. Everything goes through lawyers now. I sent him a 20-page letter apologizing, begging for a chance to explain, asking if we could try counseling for Emma's sake. His lawyer sent back a 1-sentence response: "My client wishes no contact outside of court-mandated custody arrangements." 8 years of love, friendship, partnership, reduced to legal language and scheduled visits. I see him sometimes when I pick up Emma. He looks right through me like I'm invisible. He's lost weight, looks exhausted, but there's a hardness in his eyes that was never there before. I broke something in him that can't be fixed. The man who used to bring me flowers every Friday, who held my hair when I was sick, who cried when Emma took her first steps, now sees me as nothing more than a legal obligation. My social media is a graveyard. Friends who used to like every photo now scroll past my posts. Family gatherings happen without me because it would be too awkward. I'm the cautionary tale mothers tell their daughters, the example wives use when they lecture about faithfulness. Remember what happened to Sarah's cousin? Don't be her. The loneliness is crushing. I wake up every day in my childhood bedroom, surrounded by posters from high school, while my daughter grows up in a broken home because of my choices. I had a man who loved me unconditionally, a beautiful child, a comfortable life, friends who cared about me. I traded it all for 3 months of excitement with a man who saw me as entertainment. People ask if I regret it. What kind of question is that? I regret every text, every lie, every moment I chose temporary thrills over permanent love. But regret doesn't bring back trust. It doesn't heal the damage I did to Emma's sense of security. It doesn't erase the look on David's face when he found me in our bed with another man. I'm writing this from my childhood bedroom at 2 a.m., the same room where I dreamed about my wedding day, where I planned Emma's nursery, where I used to call David during college and plan our future together. In 6 months, our divorce will be final. Emma will have a new normal that doesn't include me. David will eventually meet someone new, someone worthy of the love I threw away. If you're reading this and thinking about cheating, about whether your partner is enough, about whether you deserve better, listen to me, you don't deserve better if you're not willing to be better. The excitement fades, the affair partner leaves, but the destruction is permanent. I turned myself into the villain in my own daughter's story, and that's a sentence I'll serve for the rest of my life.